Hey guys, I just wanted to share this video around the price review recommendations that were handed down yesterday on Wednesday. So $10 cut to physio, podiatry, dietetics, 50% cut in provided travel. Now I have to really get into that one a little bit more. The award increase, pay increase for core support, so the support workers, that is meant to go up. Support coordinator level 1 increase. Psychosocial recovery coach, no. Nurses, there's been some changes around that funding. Also support coordination 2 and 3, no changes. Exercise physiology, speech and OT were not mentioned in these recommendations. Now we're yet to see the actual pricing arrangement document, so what this looks like in translation, in that, and the criteria around that. One of the things that I want to draw your attention to is, since this review has come out, there's been so much talk about this isn't good enough, businesses are not going to survive. I'm sitting here going, I've been telling people for years that running a business in the disability sector is really challenging. There's the everyday living expenses such as your utilities, your internet, your phone, your insurance, your work cover, like all of this is there, right? As well as the wear and tear on your car to go to do shifts, things like that. And one of the biggest things when the trials were going on for NDIS, to see if it would work, to see how it would come together, one of the biggest things we were constantly reminded of, and there was a lot of hospitals and community health involved in this time. It was like, it's not about making a big profit. It's about being able to pay for the services and maybe a little bit left over. But businesses that ran solely on making money out of NDIS supports alone were always eventually going to struggle. If you look at the cost model, it's never been a massive profit. Now, the problem with it is that a lot of people have gone, oh, like it's guaranteed money because it's government. No, it's not guaranteed money. Right now, so many hospitals are close to closing their doors because, once again, they rely on federal funding. They have to show why they go over a KPI. So, for example, if someone stays in hospital longer than the surgery, for example, they have to justify why they should be paid the extra money to cover that hospital admission versus being fined for going over the KPI or over that time frame. Now, NDIS is purely government funded, which means the taxpayers' money is going into NDIS, like it's going into public hospitals, like it's going into police, like all the different services, our defence, like so many parts of Australia. TAC, when we pay our car registration, that goes in to help cover TAC expenses. Now, people will say to me, but the money from NDIS is guaranteed because it's government. No, it's not guaranteed. And the NDIS can actually ask for evidence that you actually did the work, just like TAC does, just like other insurance schemes or companies will do. If you think about it, with the doctors and with the Medicare system, if I go and see a specialist, they can charge up to the Medicare rebate, right? So it's up to a set amount, just like in the NDIS pricing arrangement, it's up to a certain amount, right? But that doctor can choose to charge me 3 times as much as that if they choose. And I then have a choice of whether I want to go and see that doctor and then pay that amount. And sometimes I might be able to afford it, and sometimes I might not be able to. And it's a struggle because if you need that specialist, how do you afford it? This is just the everyday person. Now, I know about discrimination laws and, not making a person with a disability pay any more than anyone else, right? So prices shouldn't go up just because they're on the NDIS, things like that. But the scheme itself and the cost model has never been set to be a profit-making service. And often when people come to me saying, oh, I want to start up an NDIS business and all of this, the first question I ask them is, why? Why do you want to start an NDIS business? Because I can make lots of money, Jackie. I'm not making much money in hairdressing, or I'm not making much money working as a nurse, or I'm not making much money working as a builder. So I want to start an NDIS business because I can make a lot more money. I can charge, $65 an hour. I've got so much more money in my pocket at the end of the day. I say, well, do you have the skills? Do you have the qualifications? Now, if they go to another consultant, that consultant's going to go, of course, come on board. I'll help you get your business started. I'll help you get it going. I'm a realist. I've always said to people, this is not going to be easy, but if you're prepared to put in the hard work and have some innovation around your business, and it's not just NDIS, then maybe you will make a profit, but it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of energy. And the one thing is, this is not guaranteed, because participants are on the scheme, then they're off the scheme. They get X amount of funding, then that gets reduced. So a lot of people I've seen on social media since this pricing review has dropped is that let's strike, let's write to the minister, let's stand up for our rights, because we can't keep our doors open, our business going with these kind of prices. Now, I get it, because the cost of living, electricity, phone, petrol, pens, paper, software updates, a mobile phone, all of these things cost money, and they're all part of running a business, and every business has these expenses. But other businesses such as mine, I can choose to charge whatever I want. I can look at my cost analysis, and then I can choose to charge whatever I want. So one of the biggest things I want you to think about as you think about moving forward, and when we did nursing strikes many years ago, we always had to make sure that the people that were in hospital were taken care of. If teachers go on strike, there's either no school or limited classes. But if independent support workers or if support coordinators choose to go on strike, there is no one filling that gap necessarily, or there will be people that won't strike, and they will go and then collect those people that need those services, because I'll help you, I'll work with you. So maybe, and I can understand your anger and frustration, maybe a strike isn't the right approach. The other thing I want you to think about is that the disability, so the NDIS was never set up to be something that made a lot of money. It was meant to be there. When we did the trials, we worked in conjunction with hospitals. So I was part of a community health at the time of the trials. And so how hospitals could deliver this service, they get the funding, like they would get, back in the day it was hack funding and things like that. So the funding was going, but it wasn't their only primary source of income. Allied health professionals could have their private clients as well as the NDIS clients, right? Not their only primary source of income. Now, support coordination and support work are a little bit different, because we used to have different ways that was funded, and it wasn't just a standalone business like an independent going out being a support coordinator or support worker. So as more independent businesses that became primarily NDIS grew and grew and grew, they were all trying to make money. And if people look back over their budgets over the years, unless you've done the wrong thing, you should never have made a massive profit, even with the best systems in place, because those systems cost money and taxes go up, and So tax goes up, super goes up, insurance goes up, wages go up. Now, I was talking to a hairdresser yesterday, and he said, with this minimum pay increase, he has to pay all of his staff that increase. So it's not just in disability, right? And he said, so to cover that and the cost of the products, the cost of the electricity, the cost of the water, the cost of the venue, all of those kind of things, he has to put his prices up to cover all of that. So this is a business thing, but the difference is that when the prices aren't going up or the cap isn't going up and people can't afford to pay above the cap or the limit, this is where business struggles. But something I want you to think about, how much is NDIS costing us Australians, those that are paying taxes? How much is it actually costing? While it's doing a lot of good, it is costing, there's over 700,000 people on the scheme right now. And if they hit the $52 billion that it will cost, and the money and the amount of people on the scheme, say, hits 750 to 800,000 people, which is a minimal growth, we're still looking at the average plan of being $50,000 to $60,000. But we know that a lot of plans out there, because of the people's needs, is billions of dollars. Sorry, millions, not billions. Sorry, B's and M's. I correct myself on that. We know that some people's plans cost millions of dollars because of the level of services they need. So when the prices go up, that actually equates to less support for people. So if you put the prices up, and the NDIS if they put it up, we haven't seen the final figure yet, but if they put, say, core support up by 3.5%, there's another 6% that's missing, which is the costs of the utilities, it's the cost of running the car, it's the cost of insurance, it's the cost of apps, it's all of those other additional costs that equate to between 4 and 6%. So the wage increase is one part, but there's a heck of a lot more. There's super, there's insurance, there's work cover, there's utilities, everything. So when someone's not getting that increase, but everything else they still have to fit in, the likelihood of their business surviving is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And their cost cutting can eventually cause stress and anxiety. But if you're wanting to take action, if you're wanting to write to the ministers, if you're wanting to call up and lodge your concerns about this, come at it from a strategic approach. They've done the math. I want you to think about the statement of getting the NDIS back on track. What was its original intent and its original cost to provide services? Was it always meant to be a standalone business? No. Was it meant to be part of health and aged care? Getting a little closer. Was it meant to be more non-for-profit? These were all the things that were part of the trials, not so much standalone businesses like just support workers or just support coordinators, although they do have the big conflict of interest around support coordinators doing any other services, such as plan managers. The one thing I did forget was that there was the establishment setup fee for plan managers. They're planning on removing that. As it is, plan managers don't get a huge amount of money anyway, so don't know. But I just want you to stop for a moment and think big picture. Think about the review recommendations. Think about big picture. Where is this going? And how much is the NDIS going to continue to cost Australians, because more and more people want to be on the scheme. And the average plan, if people had a $50,000, $60,000 plan, that's not a huge amount of services as the price goes up for those services. Just have a think. Just do a bit of research. Because when they talk about getting the NDIS back on track, it was meant to be part of community. It was meant to be part of health. It was meant to be part of even the aged care. We remember having those discussions around how NDIS and my aged care could work together. I did a video some time ago on the breakdown of how this could actually work, and it was just after the election, so go back on YouTube and check it out. But all of this I have shared along the way. It's going to continue to change. They're going to make other announcements. And if you walk off the job, for example, if you don't take on people because they've only got 24 hours of support coordination because it's not viable for your business, I'm not judging you. I'm just saying someone else will. And I understand you've got to set your healthy boundaries for your business, and that's really important. But instead of being reactive, be responsive. Think about it. Think about what your argument is to them, to the politicians, to the commission. Think about when you go to someone with a problem, what is a potential solution? What is it? What does that look like? So I'm going to just leave this video here for you just to have a think about it. I'm not saying don't take action. You've got to speak up. We've got to come together. But it's got to be a strategic approach. It's got to be based in fact and data collection, which I've been doing for the last 3 years. I've been collecting data on all of this, all these changes, everything. I talked to thousands of people. I actually listen to thousands of people. I get messages and phone calls every single day. And when people come to me to start up their business, a lot of them don't sign up with me because I'm real. They go to where the dream is. They go to where somebody says, yes, of course, we can get you going and you're going to make money and it's going to be great. But really, they don't care past signing you up and getting their $10,000 to $20,000. They've just got $10,000 out of it. It doesn't matter whether your business is a success or not. They're only there for that small part, that registration or that audit. They might say they care, but I question that, because if they care, they'll tell you the real picture, which is this is going to be hard work. You're not going to make a profit. Let's do your cost analysis. You're not going to make a profit straight away. And when I see coaches or business consultants or other people out there saying, I only work with people that make a minimum of 10 grand a month and I'm going to help you make more, I get so mad with that, and I get so mad with that. Come talk to me. I've got a strategy on how you can get clients. What are you going to do with them when you do sign them up? What if you attracted them? What if instead of focusing on growth, you focused on sustainability? Have you done the math? I know. Some people say to me, Jackie, don't be so negative. Of course I can make money with this. And I go, well, you know, there's there's close to 250,000 providers out there who you're competing against. And there's 20,000 participants, who most of whom have a plan or a base plan. So just think about this for a minute. That plan that they have in those funding periods, because remember, the money doesn't automatically go up in their plan. So if they increase it by 3.5%, $2 or $3, for example, and you're charging that $2 to $3, but they didn't get the funding increase in their plan straight away. That can make a difference because it's $2 or $3 per hour. Maybe it's just $2 per hour. I haven't done the math when we haven't seen the final figure yet, but let's pretend for a moment that it's $2 per hour and someone's got 40 hours of services a week, even a month. That's $80. Their budgets are finely tuned now with the funding periods. So there's a lot to consider when the actual pricing arrangement drops. There's got to be some math. There's got to be some strategic planning. So if you're wanting to speak up, be responsive rather than reactive. Get your facts in order. Get your data, because the politicians and the NDIS will not listen without backing evidence. We haven't had a pay increase for 6 years. They know that. What's your solution? You leave, there will always be someone else to pick it up. I'm not saying don't leave. I'm not saying stay. I'm saying think about it. Be strategic. Do I have the answer? Potentially. Am I willing to share it? Not yet, because I have to do some more research. I have to break it down, and I actually want to see the pricing arrangement. I want to see what it now looks like. I actually want that document, that 2025-2026 pricing arrangement. I want to see that. I have a lot of data. I have a lot of conversations with people and evidence and things like that to go and say this is not working and it's getting worse. There's other people out there that have the same, that produce a lot of the data, but as the data is released from the commission and that, it's actually a lot older, like we're almost a year behind. So I'm not saying don't react in the sense of don't do anything. I'm saying respond, be strategic, get your evidence together and a potential solution, because without all that, they're not going to listen to you. The government, the Australian government, cannot afford for the NDIS to keep going up. They're already talking about increasing the Medicare levy to keep it going. Because how much money and where does the money come from, and who is not getting money to keep just the NDIS going? But if we combine health, if we combine aged care, if we combine NDIS, and then once the hospitals agreement is all finalised with the states and territories and the federal government, once that's all finalised, the foundational supports agreement will come out as well, because that's tied into the hospital. And since NDIS is now under health and not social, we're going to see further changes, but also check out my video about what it could look like. Got to go to them with potential solutions and evidence for a change to occur. Be reactive, don't be reactive. Because if you're reactive, it's a knee-jerk, it's not thought through. Be responsive. Formulate your response. Take your time to process. Reactions, which I've seen, are full of emotion. Responses are more clarity-driven. Just my take on it at this moment. I'm sure I'll have more to say. But right now, I want you to also take some time to take care of you. I hope this helps.